guys, it's Katie here with Life in the Mundane, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys about beginning homeschooling. So the past 2 weeks, I've kind of talked about our homeschool journey, how we got to homeschooling, and I'll put that in the iCards above, and also a little bit about the reasons why we homeschool, which is also in the iCards. So we've been talking about that. Maybe you guys are thinking about it, maybe you've been mulling it over. And so I just wanted to come and share this week a little bit about what you can do when you're ready to make that jump into homeschooling, or when you're seriously considering it, kind of what the next steps are, what the first steps are. So let's get started. So the first step, the middle step, the end step are all the same. All throughout this, I highly recommend praying. Bathe this decision in prayer, because guess what? It is not an easy road to take. It is not an easy decision to make. And if you are not doing it with within the will of God and with His help, it's all for naught. Pray about what curriculum you use. Pray for each and every school day that it would be what God wills it to be. And don't ever forget that. I feel like the times when my school year is running the roughest, and we're just hitting a lot of bumps and a lot of frustrating moments, is honestly when I realized I've stopped bathing each day in prayer. I promise you will see the results of that. So that's the first thing I would suggest. The second thing I would suggest is looking up your state laws. Every state is different. Every set of laws are different, and they do change from time to time. So definitely look into it. Some have much stricter laws. The state that we're in currently is not super strict as far as restrictions, but we have lived in other states when I was a kid and being homeschooled myself, where we had to turn in grades to the state or be part of an umbrella school or whatever it might be. So definitely look into the laws. I definitely recommend checking out hslda.com. I'll put the link right here and below. A lot of great beginning resources for you if you're thinking about homeschooling. And I would highly recommend you become a member of HSLDA. So it's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and they are always fighting for homeschool freedoms and keeping those open and available so that families like ours can homeschool. So one, I just like supporting a great cause, but also they can help you with, if there were to ever be any kind of question into your homeschooling and the legitimacy and whatnot, they can actually be there as an assistant to that. So I tell people, I'm like, you wouldn't drive without insurance, you wouldn't own a home without having insurance. Do not homeschool without this kind of insurance. They have yearly plans that you can purchase. They have month by month, which is what we do. I think it's like $10 a month right now. And then they have like a lifetime membership if you want to just get that, and then you're covered. So there's a lot of different options for any budget, whatever you guys are looking at. But I highly recommend homeschooling with that. It is just too important not to have, and they have great resources on there, including amazing discounts, which I'll talk about in another video, about some of the pros of that. So I would highly recommend looking into the different kinds of methods for homeschooling. I'll drop links below, but there are several different methods like Charlotte Mason, unit study, workbooks, traditional workbooks, classical education, several different other ones, but I will drop links to those below that you guys can check out and kind of read a little bit more about the different philosophies of teaching and figure out what's going to work best for you. I also would suggest looking into kids' learning styles. So there's some great resources for figuring out and determining your child's learning style. Are they a visual learner? Are they an auditory learner, kinesthetic, whatnot? That'll really help you in figuring out the kind of curriculum you want. So you may love this curriculum, and I've had this before, guys, where I love this curriculum. It's all about these read-alouds, and we do a lot of read-alouds. But it's a subject that my son maybe particularly struggles with, and he's a visual learner, 100% visual learner. And so for him, I have to make sure that those subjects that are really a lot more challenging for him have a visual aspect. They don't have to be 100% visual, but they need to have a visual component to it. And so it can really help to kind of figure out your kid's learning style and also your teaching style, or what philosophy you kind of want to go through. Also know out there are several different philosophies like I mentioned before, but very few people are solidly 100% one kind. So your homeschool is going to be your own. So it'll probably be a mesh of all of them, and that's okay. Don't feel like you have to fit into the box. That's one of the fun things about homeschooling, is that we get to get outside of the box. But it does help you to kind of have a point of reference about what kind of resources you'll like. So definitely would suggest kind of researching that just a little bit. Don't get overwhelmed, don't get bogged down, but just at least glancing into it to kind of figure out what you can in advance. Number 4, get connected with a community. Okay, this could be locally if you know a homeschool group or a particular family that homeschools, connect with them. It could be joining Facebook groups. I'll put a couple links to my favorite Facebook homeschooling groups out there, but find a community that you can kind of bounce ideas off, because there's going to be hard days and there's going to be questions, and it's just going to be hard for someone to answer those or find those just Google searching. You're going to want to talk to somebody who's been there and who's done that. So definitely look for those resources, and if you can't find something locally, plug into the online resources that there are. Check out our channel. We have tons of videos on homeschooling and different ideas. So definitely plug in. Don't feel like you're alone. You're not an island. You're not by yourself, and you need somebody that can give you that encouragement when you need it. So definitely plug in. You can Google search or Facebook search for different groups in your community, just homeschooling in whatever city you live in. You can also look up, for instance, in Kansas, we have the Teacher Parents Association, so sometimes they will have homeschooling associations. Look up if your city or state has a homeschool conference, and the people who run that can probably hook you up with local resources or help you figure out different co-ops or whatnot. So definitely plug into those resources and find out what's available in your area. That also brings me to curriculum. Guys, there are so many curriculums out there, and I feel like it is overwhelming to me sometimes, and I was homeschooled, so I got to try some of these curriculums firsthand as a student. I spent a lot of time, like I talked about before in my other video, about researching curriculums even before my kids were old enough to school, and it still was overwhelming. There are just so many millions of choices. Consider the cereal aisle at the store and how overwhelmed you can get just trying to buy one bag of cereal. It's like triple that as far as homeschooling. You need to figure out what are some of your non-negotiables. Does it need to be a Christian curriculum? Can it be secular? Do you want it to be one of those methods? Do you want it to be a workbook, textbook only? Do you want it to be something more independent that they can do? Do you want it to be something that you can do with multiple age groups at one time? If you have a large family, I highly recommend at least doing science and history as a group, and Bible as a group. And you can level it to the right ages, but definitely wouldn't recommend doing individual for multiple kids. But there's so many things to consider. One thing, I can't tell you what curriculum is going to work for you, because a lot of it will depend on what your philosophy is, which is why I recommend looking into it. It's going to depend on what your kid's learning style is, and it's going to depend on what your teaching style is. But I do want to give a couple of words of caution/encouragement for those when you're looking into homeschooling curriculum. First of all, don't feel like you have to get it right on the first try. You probably won't get it right on everything. There'll probably be something you have to change and switch up, and that's okay. I know too many families that are like, we're going to pick this, we're going to pick it in kindergarten, we're going to stick with it all the way through high school, and guess what? That's just not realistic. Your kids are different. You might be different. What works for your best friend is not always going to work for you, and that's okay. God made us different, and that's why we have so many options out there, is so there's something that fits us. So don't be afraid to try a few things. I know that it's expensive, it's an investment, so again, you don't want to just jump into something not really thinking through it. But that's the other reason. The other tip I was going to give is try to get your hands on the actual curriculum. Borrow it from a friend. If you have a local Christian bookstore or homeschool store or resource center, go and try and get your hands on it. If you have a homeschool conference, definitely highly recommend attending that and actually getting to look into the books. Things you want to look for, depending on what you want, might be what you want, what you don't, but you want to look for how much preparation does it have in advance. You might be somebody who's great with preparation. You might want something that's open and go. So look at how much preparation it has in advance. Look at how it is laid out for the teacher side of it. Some homeschool curriculums are very scripted. What you need to say is in bold. What your child needs to respond is not, or is italicized, and it is just scripted. Boom, 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 boom. No thinking required, no preparation required, just ready to go, open and go. Others are more concepts that'll be like, okay, let's read this book and let's just talk about it. And there's not as much guidance as far as what the questions are. And there's everything in between. So definitely just kind of look at how much preparation, how much structure there is to the curriculum, and it might depend on what you want. So I like some structure. I like somewhat open and go just because I don't always have hours and hours and hours to prep. I do prepare for my lessons, but I don't have as much time as I'd love to sit over and just pour over all this information in advance. So I love having something that's open and go, but I do not like having scripted lesson plans. I like the freedom to make my own lesson plans, but there are some curriculums out there that have box by box. Day 1, do this. Day 2, do this. Day 3, do this. And that's great. If that's your personality, go for it. But I just recommend actually getting to looking at it and seeing what all it involves on that. So I also, another little tidbit about picking curriculum, I would say, is don't get caught up on grade. One of the benefits of homeschooling is getting to reach your kids where they're at and help them grow. It might not be exactly on grade level. They might be ahead of where they're supposed to be. They might be a little behind where they're supposed to be, whatever that means. But we all learn at different rates. And frankly, when you jump into it, oftentimes you'll find your kids are very splintered in their skills. So my son is very advanced in math. He could do math all day long. Absolutely loves anything to do with math and science. But reading is like pulling teeth. It is really challenging, and that's okay. And he's getting better, and he's growing, and it's awesome. But that's just where his personality is at. So he's a little advanced in some of the curriculum, so we picked a little bit faster moving curriculum for him for what he needs. And then for reading, we're a level lower than where he normally would be, and that's okay. As long as they're growing and they're continuing to learn and establishing that level of learning, that's all I'm concerned about. So step is just jump in. You can spend so much time preparing and planning and trying to think through all the what ifs that you can overwhelm yourself, exhaust yourself, and just frankly talk yourself out of it. So just jump in and try it, and don't be afraid of failure. There really isn't such thing as failure with homeschooling. You might decide it's not right for you, but that's still not failure. You tried it, you attempted it, and it'll just make you appreciate another method of schooling even more. So 1 year is not going to mess up your kids for life. Kids are very quick to learn. They're very fast learners, so they can jump in, they can adapt, they can change, and just give yourself grace. Know that you're not just doing school at home. So you don't need your whiteboard. I have mine, but you don't need a whiteboard. You don't need desks facing the thing. You don't need them to raise their hand every time. It doesn't mean you won't have those structure pieces, but it doesn't mean school has to always be in the same place and look exactly like it would at home. We homeschool. It looks really different. We do part of our school at the table, part of our school on the couch. We do part of our school outside. We have the freedom to do it in a way that works for each of our own families. So just encourage you to give yourself grace. I recently read an article that said it takes 3 years to really get your groove in homeschooling. And I would say that is probably just about right. I feel like 3 consistent years of homeschooling, and I finally feel like I've been homeschooling for a little bit longer, but we took a break in between, and I feel like I'm finally just finding my foothold, and I'm like, okay, I think we have our systems figured out. We've thrown out some curriculums, we've tried new ones, we've stuck with old ones and gone back to old ones, and it's working really well for us. So don't get discouraged. Just keep pressing on. Reach out to that community. Look at your local resources and ask for help if you need it. So if you are thinking about homeschooling and have other questions about how to get started or concerns, questions, whatever, drop them in the comments. I'd love to give you a shout out and help. I will also link in the iCards above our homeschool curriculum picks for this year, but just remember, just because it works for my family doesn't mean it might work for doesn't mean it will necessarily work for yours, but it's definitely a great starting point to give you a few ideas. Also, I will say I would love it if this has been helpful to you, for you to share, comment, like, and even subscribe. We post videos every Wednesday and Saturday on homeschooling, home management, parenting, and everything in between on how to make the most of those little moments within those areas. And I just love sharing what works for our family. We're not perfect. We don't claim to be perfect, but I love sharing what's worked for us in hopes that it might spark an idea for you guys. So I look forward to hearing your comments. Like and find us on Instagram and Facebook at Life in the Mundane, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.